Hi guys, and the end spoken label back in the house on a Sunday morning. And I'm 3/4 asleep today because the lovely poet I got with me today said to me earlier in the week, can we do this at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning? And I'm 3/4 asleep, but hey ho, still good fun. So I have got the fantastic Rhiannon with us today. Rhiannon, I'm gonna forget what she just told me as well. Rhiannon Levy, not Levy.
Levi, Rhianna
Levi.
Levi.
Levi. Say it's too early for me, right? So right, Rhiannon, stop me making a muppet of myself, and I usually am, or shit for brains is my saying. So tell us, obviously, Rhiannon, a little bit about yourself, because we've been talking, and we said before, didn't we, for a few years now, one way or another.
Yeah.
And I think when I first got talking to you, you weren't necessarily sharing your work at the time, were you either?
No, I mean, I was probably about 19 at the time. So yeah, a few years back. But yeah, so I am the current Worcestershire Poet Laureate. Woo. I'm
Ooh.
also the young woo. I'm also the youngest one ever to have the role, which is very exciting. So I got the post like the tenure back in June last year, so June 2022. It runs for a year. At the time I was 23 years old, so I'm 24 now. So that's a record to beat. I thank you. Obviously I live in Worcester. I was actually born in Worcester, but I lived in Ledbury for a long time, and Ledbury's known for the Ledbury Poetry Festival. And then when I turned 18, I moved back to Worcester to be close to my dad's side of the family and also to start university. So now I'm currently doing my doctorate degree in education through Birmingham City University, and I'm also a qualified teacher. So I cover teaching a range of schools in Worcestershire, which means I get to know the kids in this area super well, and I get to, be passionate about all things about, English and creativity, as well as mental health. And so yeah, but yeah, no, it's definitely been exciting being poet laureate. Definitely, as you said, prior to I was probably 19 when I started sharing my work. Maybe a little bit later than that. Always enjoyed writing. At school, I was over like my creative writing, but I was a very shy individual, so I didn't share it with people. And so the first time I actually performed my work aloud was at a local open mic called Dear Listener, and it's hosted by Dr. Charlie Barnes, who is an amazing writer. I swear she is like a machine. She just brings out novel and poetry book after book. But that was the first time I ever performed, and then it's kind of just built from there, and I've been able to build connections with so many poets and writers, not just in the local area, but also further afield. People like Jemima Hughes, Daniel Kay, and then we got obviously local talent like Lena Batchelor and A. Cooper, just to name like a very small amount of the many people I've met. But yeah, no, I kind of try and embed my kind of experiences of my childhood and young adulthood into my work, and I'm very fascinated particularly about the human condition, and kind of like the obviously talking about social issues, but also putting a reminder that everything, it's not all bad. We have to, in times of turmoil, we have to remember the beauty of the world. We can't forget that, because it's all about living and appreciating the surroundings, really.
Brilliant. Now, before we come on to obviously about your tenure as poet laureate, because I do want to talk about that, but I was going through researching online, and as well as being a writing educator, you're also an holistic educator. So
Yes.
tell us, I want to learn about that, because I know what holistic education is, because I've got a friend of mine that does it for a living, but there's people that won't know what it's about. So tell us about them. First of all, for people who don't know what it is, and where your background from this came from.
Yeah, so holistic education, it basically is, as a holistic educator, I not only see Sunday morning brain as well. It's not just about academia and grading. It's about seeing children as a whole person, a complex whole person, and you need to be looking at that and helping them thrive, and not just grading, but their emotional well-being, help them build that identity. So I very much, whilst I understand that obviously academic grades, they help people to go on to the next steps in life, it's very important that you nourish a child's full person, their full identity, because if you don't, then you have issues such as mental health issues, you have children with a lack of confidence, and even if they get, for example, really good grades, if they don't have the skills to be able to go into the wider world, it's going to be a struggle for them. So they need to feel like they're being listened to, that they're being heard. So you've got to help them thrive and listen to what their needs are, because they have a voice, essentially. And it kind of comes from my background. I come from a very working class family. I was the first person to go to university. Certainly the first person to have a teaching degree, and be doing a doctorate degree, because I'm a glutton for punishment. But yeah, no, it's very much, I was very lucky in the fact that I had teachers that believed in me and saw my capabilities. A lot of people from my background, they're kind of left to the wayside, and there's an expectation that they won't do well because of their family background. And so I very much had the motivation to want to succeed and to I have massive aspirations. And I very much worked very hard at school, but also I had the support of teachers and peers who very much believed in my capabilities. And unfortunately, that's not the case for a lot of people. And therefore, they then don't get the support they need in school. And then that carries on into adulthood. And I think it's really important to see past a child's background, because they didn't ask, to come from a particular family background. There's no shame in coming from a working class background. Some of the most amazing people I've ever met have been working class, because they know about work ethic. They know what it's like to struggle, and they want to, not only make a difference to their own lives, but also the lives of those around them. And I think particularly with terms of holistic education, in my doctorate degree, I'm focusing on PSHE and citizenship, which is a part of education that looks at like kind of social, economic, and like kind of, issues and kind of skills, so life skills. And I'm very much looking at how it's being utilised currently. Where does it sit in education? And why is it so important? How does it impact not only a child's kind of development of life skills, but also their social, emotional, and academic development? Because there has been studies that have demonstrated that it does impact it, and it needs to be utilised more than it currently is. So yeah, my past experiences of being working class, I have a history of mental health issues, including bipolar disorder, which a lot of people are very surprised about, because I don't show it in probably the stereotypical way, but there's a condition, has kind of comes across people in different ways, and also my experiences of bereavement, and so all those things, they've really kind of stemmed into who I am today, not only as a writer and an academic, but also a holistic educator, really.
Brilliant. Yeah, because I think I can certainly see from getting to know you, is to say it runs hand in hand. I think this sort of thing, holistic healing, anyway, with writing anyway, because my friend that does it, he's wrote a full poetry book on holistic healing he has. And I know it's out there. That's out later on this year as well. So yeah, I agree with you completely with that. So now I want to talk about next, obviously. The big thing we've been hinting at in the first few minutes of this podcast is you as poet laureate in Worcestershire. Now, I want to learn, obviously, because I know from talking to Mel Warder Woodend about it before, when Mel's journey to become it. Now, tell us about then, first of all, then, what made you want to apply for Poet Laureate in Worcestershire? And then tell us about the process on it, because I think this is something worth people noting about, I believe.
Yeah. So I kind of applied because I was there like, oh, why not? I wasn't expecting to get through because I'm there like, oh, I'm really young. They'll probably go for someone who maybe has more like, kind of experience. But I will do it on a whim. You never know. Very much, especially over the past couple of years, I've very much been there like, look, if you don't do it, you're never going to find, never going to know, if you're successful. So I applied for it, and the process of applying for it is you submit one poem that's on a theme that Worcestershire Lit Fest and Fringe have chosen, and they're the people that run obviously this competition. And the theme for the competition that I entered was regeneration. So yeah, very good theme. So you submit a poem on that theme, and then you submit another poem completely of your choice. And I kind of went for my classic, human condition, that kind of thing. Why not?
Brilliant.
Gotta, go sit with my my roots. And alongside that, you also kind of send like a cover letter discussing what you would do if you were poet laureate, why you want to be poet laureate, what do you intend to kind of gain from the experience, and then that's all anonymized, and then they have like a committee which judges it, and then based on the poems and the cover letter, they then finalize 3 poets, which included myself, basically for the final. And then what happened is that we had like a kind of informal interview over Zoom, just so they could get more details about us as people. And then back in June, I can't remember the date exactly, but there was a live final based at the Swan Theatre in Worcester.
Wow.
And it was very well attended. And essentially what you do is you perform your 2 poems that you submitted, and then you kind of talk to your audience about, what you want to achieve if you become poet laureate. And then you have like a little, in a side room, it's very much a little bit like The Apprentice. You have like
oh no, really, honestly, I watched that. It's, pardon my language, it scares the shit out of me every time when I'm
honestly. I thank you. Honestly, I've been watching it the past couple of weeks, and like, honestly, it's just been every time I've had my head in my hands because it's just bloody awful. But honestly, but yeah, you kind of go into like kind of the side part of the venue, and you have like not a very formal interview, but you have more like directed questions kind of thing, and then the committee make a decision. And I'm not gonna lie, literally when my name got announced, I was in the middle of drinking my drink and I nearly choked on it, quite frankly. I was not expecting, I was halfway through sipping my drink. And I was like, pardon?
You would. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And I was just like, oh, okay. And yeah, I had quite a few people with me who had come to cheer me on, and they were so loud. They were so loud. Oh my god, it was like like a bar, like a pub crawl, quite frankly.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say to that is it would have turned into a pub crawl afterwards.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do remember getting quite drunk afterwards, actually. But then you go back onto the stage and you perform your poems, and you have like a photo with your it's great. You have like basically like this plaque that's engraved with your name on it.
Wow.
And yeah, now I have it on my mantelpiece, which is lush. So I'm there like, oh, that's great. But yeah, no, it's it can be quite daunting. But it was an amazing experience, and like I said, I wasn't expecting to win, because very much the amount of people that apply to the competition is insane. So the fact that I was picked even before like the committee obviously knew who had sent the poems in the cover letter, and then it was an amazing experience, and it's been crazy busy ever since, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously at the time of recording, obviously everyone noticed. I was like, we're into March, in the March, and you've been doing this like for 9 months now, haven't you? So tell us about them. What projects you've been involved with them as poet laureate?
So many. I've been honestly like a main part of my tenure. I very much, my aim has been to bring different parts of the community together through poetry, spoken word, and writing. People with all different backgrounds. It doesn't matter if you have experience of it or not. So I've very much been working with local museums on workshops and different initiatives. At the Infirmary Museum, I collaborated with the University of Worcester's Poetry Society recently to do a poetry evening at the museum. And I also have poems that are like permanently displayed at the infirmary. But yeah, I've worked with the George Medical Marshall Museum, Tudor House. I've also put on a load of quite a few events, solo or collaborating with other poets in different parts of the community. So I remember back in October when we did a World Mental Health Day event. Honestly, it was amazing how many people from so many different backgrounds turned up. It was based at Sugar Daddy's Cafe, which is an inclusive cafe that's recently opened, very much, especially for like the LGBTQ plus community. And I thought it would be a great venue to host the event because it's really important to be collaborating with these independent businesses. It was so well attended. I've also done things for International Men's Day, you've got International Women's Day, and I've also been doing a lot of work with places such as Worcestershire Acute Hospitals Trust. So they have their own charity sector, as it were, and I've been doing a lot of work with them, such as poetry videos. We're currently working on an anthology which is in collaboration with Black Pear Press.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah,
that's one of my topics today, that one. So
absolutely. And we're also, myself and A. Cooper, who's a former Worcestershire Poet Laureate, we're going to be doing poetry on wards back in April. So we're basically going around and performing to loads of staff and patients during Patient Experience Week. And we're doing it on the afternoon of 25th of April, which is amazing, especially because it hasn't obviously been allowed in the past couple of years due to the pandemic. But yeah, no, there's been loads of things being like, going on. I've been obviously performing at events, very much, been trying to get my face out there as much as possible. Been working with kind of like the local council as well for a few of their like kind of community events, etc. Which is great because you get to meet so many different people. And kind of like, it's very strange because you go around and people actually know your face. And coming from quite being a person that's never really wanted like kind of attention, kind of, being always, used to be a very shy child. So it's very interesting. You never really fully get used to, being a poet laureate. And the thing is, once you've had the title, you're always known as a poet laureate. That doesn't go away even when you have, you have people come in for the next year. And I think, especially being the youngest one, I think people are very fascinated by it, to be honest. But yeah, no, I've done so many things, and there's countless things that I've probably I've definitely like not said about, but you know, things like publishing as well, like getting back publishing mags, etc. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind, really.
Sounds
But I think
like it, because if people play this back to you, you'll be looking at yourself in 10 years' time thinking, good God, I've done that, like that, aren't you? Yeah.
I know I'm there, like
Wow.
literally, like the amount of things I've done, like I'm there, like I can't, like it's got to that point. I'm there, like I cannot recall all of them because it's just been absolutely insane, really.
Oh, sounds it completely. Now, obviously, one insane aspect of what you've been up to is your debut collection, isn't it? Which came out
Yes.
in January. That is certainly not a day. It's insane part. So, but that people want to check it out. That's obviously called Mortal Veins. So tell
Mortal
us,
Vein, yes.
yeah, tell us first of all about then the inspiration. What made you want to bring your first collection out back in January?
Yeah, because so I actually self-published it. And the reason I self-published it is because I really wanted a full collection underneath my belt, particularly, you know, before doing a poet laureate collection, etc.
Mm.
And whilst I've been published loads of times in like lit mags and anthologies, etc., I hadn't had a full collection underneath my belt. So my collection Mortal Veins, which is available on Amazon, it very much talks, it's very much, the theme is about kind of the human condition and about the complexity, about, you know, human life, but also the wonders of it. So very much on par with my kind of moral compass, as it were. And I actually got my partner to design the cover. Good old, yeah, with good old Canva. So yeah, he did a very good. I was just like, right, here's the title, just go with it. And yeah, the cover he came up with was is very striking and amazing. I kind of went with Mortal Veins because very much veins, I mean, they run throughout our whole body, don't they? And they very much are a essential part of human existence, as it were. And I wanted a title that was striking. And as humans, we very much are very aware of our mortality. And I think sometimes that kind of overshadows kind of like us grasping to life to the fullest.
Brilliant.
And so, yeah, and I think it was really important to kind of talk about that within the poems. And yeah, I think I'm very proud of the collection. It's sold very well. I mean, I knew that thank you, and it's had really good reviews. And I knew that I also wanted to self-publish because I have the social media following to do it. And I have like the determination to keep promoting it, because the thing is, self-publishing is really good for independent writers, if they know how to kind of make sure that they're like promoting it, because it is, you've got to keep promoting it. And yeah, no, it's been great seeing like different people taking photos and, you know, like kind of messaging me that I got your book. And it's really nice. Like I've got like my best friend, like since we were 3 years old. She was there, like literally sending me photos about, I love this poem, I love this poem. And you know, she's someone who doesn't really read poetry. But yeah, no, it's been a whirlwind, really. And it's it's crazy to think it's already been like 2 months since it was released, really. But yeah, I'm so proud of it. And I'm already writing for like new collections
No, you
because I'm
do,
just
because because like it was like I did my first book about 12 years ago. It took me 5 years to get the follow-up right for various reasons. But
yeah.
since then, I've been a whirlwind managing usually one at least a year myself. You do it so when you get
Yeah,
going.
I think it's like a drug, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
like once you've got that kind of feel for it, you're there like, oh, I like this, and then
yeah,
you're kind of there like, I want to do another. I want to.
yeah. Exactly. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I know we've got you told to talk about your poet laureate collection. I want to talk about that later. So we'll keep off
Yes.
that topic. Definitely. But yeah, no, I know what you mean, but it is a whirlwind and it seems to build up, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
that's why. Now, can we talk very briefly about a couple of the poems in the book? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
of course.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, then, first of all, then, you started off the collection with Mortal Veins itself, the poem, which it's a great poem. Now, tell us about two questions on that. Tell us about the background of that poem and what made you want to start the collection off with that title poem.
Yeah, so I very much wanted to start off because it is a striking poem, and
Yeah, oh,
very
yeah,
much
definitely that,
it's
yeah.
very striking. I like, even I will admit it's very striking. It's very philosophical, and that's kind of like my kind of writing background. I like to be a bit complex. Sometimes I can do, like, you know, more straightforward poems, but I think it's like I've got an English lit degree. Like I like, you know, it's, I think it's maybe analyzing is I very much wanted to start with it because it very much, I think it encompasses like kind of the human condition, about the complexity of it, and very much talking about, you know, the theme of the human condition, and it's all its wonders, as it were. I thought it was a great poem to start off, and I thought it was excellent to kind of start off with a title poem as well. I could have put it at the end, I could have put it in the middle, but I decided to go with the start because I thought, you know, in terms of structuring the collection, I thought that would be a really good place for it to be. Very much get the reader's interests, as it were, regardless of your kind of writing experience or experience of reading poetry, really. And yeah, no, I mean, a lot of these poems I kind of come up with on the top of my head. I very much just write and see where it takes me, and then obviously go back and edit, which I think's the case for a lot of writers. And so yeah, that's really why I started with that poem. I wanted something that would kind of get the reader's attention, really, and get them thinking, oh, because a lot of my poems, they aim to get people to think, and if you can get them to think and kind of reflect, then you know that you've done a good job there, really, because you know, they're very much like, oh, I wonder what that means, etc. Or like they're thinking about their own experiences and kind of bringing it to their own experience of reading a piece of work, really.
Brilliant. Yeah, I agree completely. It's a very, very thought-provoking collection, this one. No, even more when we're going to talk about the second poem I want to ask you about next, because this one surprised me a bit, actually, but not in a good way, where you've got a poem called, pardon me, Hauntology, Blessed in Poetry. Now, I know what hauntology is because I studied it at university many years ago. And should I read out the definition, what Google's got about it, so then we can tell people, then we can ask you why? Hauntology on Google, if you research it, is a musical genre that took hold in the early noughts. The genre is an extension of the concept posted by Jack Derrida's in the early 19... This doesn't look right. In the early 1990s, it wasn't, because he was damn sure he was dead by
I was going to say, like, yeah.
I think he's well dead by then, yeah. But anyway, but it relies on the intersections and memories and how we are haunted by the past, a past anticipated future that never occurred. Now, it's a fascinating thing, but we're going to arrange another talk about this because it's something I could definitely talk about further. But in relation to this poem, Hauntology, Blessed in Poetry, where do your interest in hauntology come from then? That led to this poem.
So, first of all, I'm very interested in kind of the paranormal, natural. I very much identify as spiritual in terms of like kind of beliefs. And you know, it's absolutely fine, like regardless of your beliefs, that kind of thing, you know, as long as you're respectful of others. But I very much believe that once you pass on, don't believe that your kind of your soul just like evaporates into thin air. And I think in terms of hauntology, something that I've always found it fascinating about, like kind of how, you know, memories very much remain, you know, years and centuries later. And something that really inspired the poem is, so during a doctorate session back in, it probably was about October, November time, my lecturer, we were talking about hauntology in relation to, you know, educational theory, and kind of like how education has changed, and like the policies around it. and he was telling us a story about, it was probably a few years back, how he was walking down like kind of like, I think it might have been a family member's house, and like there was like kind of like an alleyway kind of thing with like, you know, walls on either side, like for like, you know, for different houses. Anyway, he was walking down it, and because of the way that the sunlight hit the wall, he actually saw the shape of a child's hands, where, like, you know, when the I presume when
Yeah.
the building or the wall had been built, obviously this child had, like, you know, whilst it was drying, had like put their handprint onto the wall, and it has remained ever since then. And bear in mind, these walls, like this house, and the wall was built a very long time ago. It kind of makes you think about, like, in terms of like child labor, etc., and kind of like the memories that kind of stay even like a very long time after. And that really resonated with me, because it very much makes you think, like, oh my god, like, you know, like history very much has a way of imprinting itself, regardless of how long ago it was. And that very much inspired the poem, really. But that, and you know, kind of connected with my spiritual beliefs. And I think also, like, you know, since my father passed like in 2020, at just 66, I think I've like, yeah, it's very much like been drawn to me for like more. And there's been some weird experiences that have happened to me in my life that I can't explain. I'm a very logical person. So I think it's really important to, especially with hauntology, I think it's a beautiful thing, because it very much gets you to think about how diverse history is, about how history is not just history, but it can also be magnified into the present, in a lot of things, like historically, politically, emotionally, socially, etc. And as humans, we have a massive history. We all have our own personal history, throughout our own lives, but also, you know, in terms of like on a long-term scale, very much history, even now, it impacts us in some ways, and sometimes we learn from that history, or sometimes we kind of try and ignore it, and then we get surprised if the same thing happens again. And so, yeah, I think it's absolutely fascinating, particularly when thinking about kind of humanity and the wider world, about how much of an impact history has, on us, even in the modern day, and that it's not irrelevant. Yes, it might be different, and we might have to kind of reflect on how it kind of relates to us, but it still relates in some way or another.
Brilliant, definitely. Because people are wondering, we're going to be coming to arrange another chat about this again. I want to bring you onto the Cloaked in the Shadows of podcast, Amanda. So that be in the future, but definitely looking forward to that. Now, the last major topic I want to come on to, we're going to wrap up, is the anthology you've recently been involved in, Life's Wonder, which I'm in, and I was gobsmacked I got into this one. So yeah, I was gobsmacked I got into this one, but I was delighted. So now, obviously, this is Life's Wonder. You're involved with Black Pear Press on this. So tell us about this then. What made you want to do this anthology, and obviously where you're hoping to lead it to, and etc.
Yeah, so obviously through my poet laureateship, I've very much been working closely with the Worcestershire Acute Hospitals Trust, as I said earlier. And I very much, one of the ideas, I've been working with a lovely lady called Lucy, who has a big part in the kind of like the charity team that's based within the trust, and they basically raise money for the hospital in different ways. And I've been working with her on a range of projects, not only to raise money for the hospitals, but also just to promote overall staff and patient and community well-being, because let's be honest, they really need to be seen, and they really need recognition for the work that they have had to go through. And on a personal level, Worcestershire Royal Hospital in particular, they very much looked after my father back in 2020 when he was diagnosed with a trigger warning for anyone. He was diagnosed with terminal stage 4 colon cancer. And he was only 66 when he died. So I was only 22 when he died. He was an amazing man, but he very much is from that generation that you don't talk about it, you know? And he left it too long. And then obviously when he finally said that he was unwell, and me and my partner and the wide family saw how bad it was, he had to get him hospitalized. But they looked after him so well, amazingly. They gave him the respect that he needed when it came to the end. And they very much, the oncology and palliative team particularly, they looked after him so well. And I wanted, as part of that, I kind of wanted to do something in his memory, but also for everyone else who's lost their lives but has been looked after by the hospital, for the staff who have to see this firsthand every day, especially over the past couple of years. And it's kind of, I want them to know that they're not forgotten, because now we're in a post-pandemic world. I think a lot of, the NHS has kind of just been forgotten about, really. And especially, this is not the time to be forgetting them, especially with the crisis that they are facing. And it's also, the anthology wanted to bring different parts of communities together through poetry, but also to demonstrate how beautiful life can be. It's really, it can be, and it's very difficult to see that when times are dark, etc. But this anthology hopes to demonstrate that there are that life is complex and it's complicated, but there are different parts of beauty that can be found, and that differs from person to person. So this anthology really wanted to encompass that. So what we did, honestly, my emails were chock-a block. Oh my god, I feel for people who run lit mags, because they must have, because the amount of submissions we had was amazing. It's been on a global scale, which is fantastic. And so it's a big anthology, actually. And it's been great to kind of connect with different people. But what's going to happen is, so I have seen a first draft of the anthology, and I have seen the cover.
Excellent.
So happy with it. So happy. I'm so excited, honestly. So I think I'm just wearing some final kind of amendments, but Black Pear Press reckon that it'll be out very soon. So maybe potentially next month.
Oh, whoa. Oh, I didn't realize it's coming out so soon, actually. You've caught me out with that one. Is there going to be is there going to be a launch or anything, or any plans?
Yeah, we're going to be having a Zoom launch. So once we got the details,
let me know. If I can,
absolutely.
I will.
Absolutely. So once we got it kind of finalized, I'm going to send a kind of an email to all the contributors, asking people if they want to read their poem. So if you want to do that, Andy, that's absolutely fine with me.
If I can, I will. I promise you that now. So.
Fabulous. Excellent. But there's going to be a Zoom launch, so obviously details to be confirmed. And a portion of the money that's made from the anthology will be going back into the hospital trust, which is really nice. So and it'll be available. So for people in the UK, it'll be available for people to purchase through the website. But there's also it's going to be put on Amazon, I think. So even for people who are outside the UK, they'll be able to purchase and get hold of a copy. So it's so exciting, and I'm absolutely in love with the cover, and the range and diversity of contributors we got is fantastic. I wasn't expecting that much, I was like, oh my god, my emails, it was like bing 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 bing. It's very strange how my email inbox back now.
Oh no,
After the past
I
couple
get
of
that.
months.
I get that every time I do like, open up the booking slots of the open mic night.
Yeah,
I do. It just goes berserk for a
I
week
know, you're
usually.
just there that you're
Yeah,
kind of trying to keep
yeah,
keep an eye on it. You're like, oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for people who do it on a regular basis. I applaud you. But it's been an amazing experience because I basically how it ended up happening is I messaged Lucy and I was there like, got another idea, Lucy. She's like, what is it? And I was like, we could maybe do an anthology. And she was like, oh, okay. And she kind of talked with the team and they said, yeah, sounds good. And then I spoke to Polly Stratton, who
Yeah. Well, I've spoke to
co-run,
Polly myself. Yeah, spoke to Polly.
yeah,
Yeah,
co-runs Black Pear Press, and we're good friends. And I was like, Polly, I literally messaged on Facebook. I was like, Polly, I've got an idea. And I kind of explained to her what I was thinking of doing. And then she spoke to the team. She's like, you got the thumbs up. So we've been very much working on this together for the past couple of months, and it's been great to see it kind of bloom. So it's very exciting.
yeah,
And I wanted to do something that very much just help the hospital, but kind of helped, people like, poets get published. I know there's a few poets in there who I know personally who have never been published before. So
yeah.
it's fantastic when you get to do that, when you get to be that person's kind of first, kind of first publisher, as it were. And so it's been amazing to see the diversity of it, really. And what I hope to, for it to, kind of bring is, well, obviously, funds for the hospital. That's obviously a big part. But also a sense of community on a global scale. We haven't obviously got just poets that are from the Worcestershire area. We've also got, poets from across the world, which are amazing. And even though there's some poets that personally, there are some that haven't personally had, obviously, kind of communication with the hospital, but they still want to get involved because everyone understands the importance of medical care, the importance of family members, or being treated with respect. Obviously, patients and staff, everyone on a global scale knows about that, regardless if they have an NHS or not. And I think, it's something like I'm super proud of.
So you should be as well, definitely. So
yeah,
I agree.
It's going to be very much going to be one of those things that very much. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm going to take away from my laureateship, certainly, but particularly that. And I'm so excited for everyone to see it in the world.
Brilliant. No, good luck with it, definitely. So now I'm just conscious of the time here. So what we'll do is we'll start wrapping up now. But I want to ask you very quickly, Elsie, always wrap up questions I like asking. And you've covered a lot what you've got coming up already, but is there anything else you want to tell us about? Plans you got for the future? I know there's a poet laureate collection on the way. You've been hinting at that before, haven't we? So
yeah. Well, I'm kind of working on two. So there's a poet, like when you finish a poet laureateship, you get the opportunity to have a funded anthology published by Black Pear Press, because they're basically the leading Worcestershire publishers. And so I'm very much focusing on that. Very much going to be looking at kind of haunted places, which I'm very excited about, actually. Actually, the place that I'm going to this afternoon, which is for Lena Batchelor's book launch. It's based at the Commandery Museum in Worcester, and it's like known for being one of the most haunted places in Worcestershire. It's going to be fantastic. So I've written some stuff on there, but that's very much going to be the focus of that. And then I'm also looking to do more writing, like we were discussing earlier, very much when it comes to kind of publishing. It's very much like a drug almost. So there'll be more of that on the cards, more performing, and it's going to be exciting. I'm certainly not going to be stopping once I'm known as a previous poet laureate. And it's going to be interesting to see if anyone ever kind of beats my title as being the youngest one ever. That's going to be interesting. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, no, I think there's a lot on the cards. Yeah, I very much with the mindset that let's just see like what the next adventure is, really.
That's always the best way of looking at your life. I'm always a believer. I take each day as it comes. So great stuff. All the best with that. Now, obviously, people can get hold of your book on Amazon. But if they want to find out more about you, where do you recommend you go?
Right. Okay. So
the hard sell, as I call it. Right?
Hard sell. Okay. So if you want to find out more about me, very much active on social media. If you could get past like the animal memes, like cat memes, then you're good to go. But you can find me on Facebook at Rhianna Levi. On Twitter, you can find me at little Riri _. And on Instagram, you can find me at Rhianna Levi 98. So yeah, no, it's very, very exciting, really. Very active on there. And yeah, if you want to find out more about me, I mean, I post a lot on what I'm up to. Obviously, you can buy my book. And I know on my social media page, I put like a link tree link, so you can find like kind of like links to the book, etc., of things that I am doing. So yeah, really, yeah. But yeah, no, and if you type my name into Google, there's plenty of things that come up from like news reports and things like that, really.
Brilliant, great
so
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Now, good luck with the future, definitely. Now, we're going to wrap up part 1, and when we come back, you're going to do a few poems for us, which I'm looking forward to. So, see you all, guys, in 2 shakes of the dice.